the thing that I've been pretty passionate about, and Eddie as well too, is like the stuff that we're learning. We have this philosophy that like there's no competitors, we're all co-competitors, right? We have relationships with a whole bunch of other electrical contractors, electricians that we work with. We team up on stuff, and I'll sit down with them and I'll tell them, hey, here's what's working for me, here's what's not working for me, try this, try that. And I'm sharing, I feel like it's my obligation to share like the knowledge that I've have to help my other electricians, my other buddies out here, because then we all rise, right?
Hello, and welcome to the $1 Million Electrician Podcast, where we help home service pros like you supercharge your business and spark up those sales.
I'm Joseph Lucani, and together with my co-host, Clay Newmeyer, we're here to share the secrets that have helped electricians sell over $1 million from a single service van.
Now, it's time for sales. It's time for scale. It's time to become $1 million electrician. Hello, and welcome back to another great episode of the $1 Million Electrician. We are sans one, no Joe today, but I've added two with the Eddie brothers who are back for you guys to share some incredible stuff. I'm going to be honest here. Eddie brothers, you guys have been on here 2 times before this. If you're new to the show, you're missing out. In fact, you're not today, but you'd be missing out if you didn't go back and listen to the first 2, because these chats are epic. My honest and biased opinion, of course, is that these may be some of the most valuable and fun podcasts that we ever get to do. Love having you guys on. Thanks so much for joining. We talked not long ago on a phone, and at the end of that call, it was like, man, that could have been the podcast, because the chemistry is always so good with you guys. Ion Electrical, couple of things noteworthy of you guys. I know you're building multi-state. You've been growing over the few years we've been talking, but also I noticed you guys are always at like the cutting edge. You're at the forefront of backup power. You're always trying to mess with batteries and solars and bring advanced solutions to your customers. So I know this is going to be a big start here, but I'd love for you guys just to help me. Whoever wants to take this one first. What is and why is that commitment there to be on that cutting edge? Why do you guys want to be the coolest electricians out there? What is this?
I think a big part of it is it just comes from just like authentically, that's like who we are, right? Like me and Eddie, we've been nerding out about this stuff for like as long as we can remember, as long as far back as we can go. And so we're very passionate about it. So it makes it already easy to kind of just stay up to date on things, because even when we get out of here, we're on our computers, we're on our phones, we're looking at stuff that's going on. We're always staying up to speed on stuff. And then we always get together and we're trying to determine like what is going to move the needle, not just for our company, but for the customer too. You know what I mean? Like where do we find that balance of leveraging technology to help us improve our experience for the customer? How can we just keep piling on the value, right? Just stacking it on there. And I think another big part of it, me and Eddie were just talking about this too, is that, the electricity is not getting any younger. The grid's not getting any younger. You know what I mean? People are adding more electricity to their houses. They're electrifying everything. And you're going to need something to offset that. And right now it may not be the best, but the immediate one is battery and solar. The more homes we can get them to be their own little micro DC power stations, the more we can stabilize the grid, right? The more it benefits everybody. Even a homeowner, if you got a CPAP machine, you know what I mean, and you got something like that, you're not worried if something goes down. You know what I mean? You're good. You're still, and then the utility company, they got time to respond. And so that's part of what that Vermont program out there is. They're trying to put 160,000 homes with batteries in them, and we'd love to get on that. And then we see the rest of the New England catching on.
Wow.
Yeah.
With that multi-state effort, you guys are kind of looking at these opportunities and where they are, and just letting that decide. These are the best places to work. Then is that part of it?
Yep. Having the most impact on the customer. Where can we put that? To have the most impact.
Yeah, I back up everything that Eddie said. Like it's a very easy thing for us to do, because that's just our nature, our background. Both of us, over the 15 years of being best friends, like we've always like talked about, or like, man, this is the newest, latest and greatest technology. We've always had like how to smart home stuff, because we're that customer as well. Even in our own personal lives, we're like, man, I want this in my house. So it just makes it that much easier to kind of convey that over to customers and homeowners, and be like, man, like just like anything else, it's like it makes it harder. So if you're not willing to put it in your own home, like I'm not gonna recommend stuff that I wouldn't use or put in my own home.
Hmm.
So it just comes across a lot easier, and makes it easier conversation just overall in general.
Yeah, and I think the other thing I'll add too, which has been pretty cool, is to not just automate like Alexa type stuff, but like we can automate your power, which I think is really amazing, right? Because if your electricity bill is going up, maybe you can't do a battery backup. We can at least go in there and see again where can we make the most impact, where can we provide the most value. If that's offsetting your largest loads in the house, you know what I mean. That's going to have a positive net impact on your bill. You know what I mean. So we're all about meeting people where they're at and then try to really tailor a solution just for you. We really don't like hitting you with a one size fits all because not everybody's situation is the same.
Yeah, I agree. I think we all agree on that. Then we're against the one size fits all.
Right.
I think it's a shame when you go in and you make recommendations because it increases your average ticket size. Like, no offense, but hey, there is the salesy drive of like, well, how many surge protectors did you guys sell this week? Always hated that question. Like, let's identify the root cause and the root need for it. Even if we all agree that a surge protection should exist uniformly, it doesn't mean that the customer understands or desires that thing. How do we better understand what they know, what they need, and then bridge the gap between what we know as professionals and what's out here as far as technology and innovation that we can then simplify and put in terms they could understand and actually make a great decision, a confident, great decision on like, I want that. That would be so cool.
Yep.
And you said something, Eddie. We always have to have this moment of like, Eddie, which one's Eddie 1, which one's Eddie 2? Eddie Cruz, you said something about like having the coolest stuff in your house and then just wanting that for your customers. Offside question, maybe. Forgive me if this one catches you off guard, but like, what's the coolest thing in your house and in your technology right now? What are you most proud of that's like you're putting into your own life that you want your customers to have?
I guess for me, like this is my office. Like everything here is like I have it automated. Like when I wake up in the morning and I walk into this office, lighting is set to a certain color temperature, a certain percentage at a certain time. Like everything is set for like certain times of the day, and it just automatically does that. So like when I come into my office, at 7 in the morning, I walk in here. It's at I believe I have it set to like a 3700 K color temperature at 30%. I got music playing in the background, kind of some lo-fi stuff, and then basically kind of sets the mood for the morning. And then around I believe at 9 o'clock, goes to like this color temperature, kind of a bright white, kind of be awake and everything like that. Music changes a little bit, something more pump upbeat to keep the mood going, and then usually around 5 o'clock, everything shuts down because then I go to the gym, and then when I come back for the gym, usually around like 7:30, it's kind of like a little bit RGB because that's when I start like playing some video games. I start like chilling out a little bit, maybe just researching some stuff, whether it's AI or reworking some stuff that me and Eddie are talking about. It's just I just have it all set up like that, so like it's just I don't have to think about it.
That's incredible, man. You've got me over here. I'm like, where's the booking link for Ion? Can we get Eddie over here to design a setup for my office?
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think Eddie was on a call. Remember a while back, you were on a call with a guy doing a consulting call. And I think for like first 45 minutes, you guys were just like talking about how awesome his man cave was going to be. You know what I mean? Didn't even get the pricing, no technical. We were just freaking just nerding out, man, on how cool it's going to be. Thought that was awesome.
Cream of the crop, the man cave special.
It's always, man. I think it's important with any call with a customer is you kind of dream with them a little bit. Obviously kind of regulate how big the dream they're going with depending on the budget, but I think it's important to kind of have that deep rooted connection with the customer when you're on these consultation calls and kind of really dive deep, peel the layers back on like, how long you been thinking about this? Why? Is this a pain or pleasure thing? Really kind of diving into that and to really give them the best experience overall at the end of the day.
I love that. From a year ago to where we are now, if we were to do a shop tour or spend the day with you, what do you think is the biggest things that people would notice has changed at Ion Electrical for you guys?
Probably the use of AI.
Well, I was gonna say that, but also the way we use it though is like we always try to
That too.
find this balance of not not putting AI at the front, you know what I mean? Doing all the decision making or a lot of the important tasks. We try to use it in a way where it's almost like invisible. You know what I mean? But for some reason you're like, wow, they got to me a lot quicker. Like, how did they remember that very particular detail? You know what I mean? Like, and so we're using it on the back end to accelerate like our processes, you know, how quickly we get back to how detailed we are. And we're trying to do it that way so that way we're not shocking the system. You know what I mean? So I think people would probably notice that, like, wow, they're even faster than before. They're even like even we didn't even know they could even be more detailed because we're all like, you know, freaking what is that term where we're all focused on the tiny little details way too much? Like, you give us AI and it's
Yeah,
just magnified
OCD.
even more. Yeah, so I just think the experience has just been improved in the sense of like speed, accuracy, and attention to like if AI is helping you so much on the back end, it's freeing up more time. That means that's more time to engage with the customer. That's more time to actually take your time, right? When you're talking to them, you're not trying to rush and take notes and stuff. So I think if you use it right, it amplifies the experience for the customer a lot, and just your back end workflow. You know what I mean?
What are your thoughts, Eddie?
Just yeah, Eddie freaking hit the nail on the head basically for the most part. Because me and Eddie talk about this a lot, and funny enough, which I think has been really cool so far. And I think this is probably another topic of talking point as far as maybe later or now. Um, is AI marketing. Like we went on a site visit this morning that a customer did research, just ChatGPT, and ChatGPT recommended us. This as far as is to be the best local, electrician for that is familiar with solar and battery and whatnot. And I think it's a thing. I think it's becoming more common that people are not just Googling as far as researching what they want. They're using AI to kind of find the recommendation or whatever they're looking for.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah,
that's a very, very cool thing that's like happening right now.
Are you guys intentionally doing that, or has that just happened
yep,
because of your
I just,
existing marketing efforts?
yeah, I think just we've been using incorporating AI for so long now. I think it just kind of naturally became that way.
yeah,
But I do
yep,
think it's a thing. It's going to be a thing in the future. As far as people are
yeah.
less and less just trying to just use Google, they're using AI to kind of find things for them or find contractors for them.
Yeah, like for example, again, that conversation we had, Clay, the last time about you talking about Notion, you lit a fire underneath me, man, and I just went and I just dug deep because I was already using it, but not to the level that you guys were using it. And so it's been amazing because I dumped everything from my head, old notes, everything into this, and we've been putting together like a whole like high level marketing playbook where we're not even messing
Love
with
it.
freaking SEO anymore. We're AI optimization where if you're asking your chat to go
Mm.
look for something, they're already showing numbers where these AI bots are going out and scanning websites and social media. So they're saying, you know, you want to have your content AI ready and make it easy, like FAQ, certain type of details. So as soon as it goes there, it can pull it, bring it back to the customer. You know what I mean, and then to get it to them faster. So I've been coming up with a marketing playbook for social media, our website. It's all going to be kind of revamped to meet what they're calling like a new version of social media. You know what I mean? Like branding and authenticity are going to be huge as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super cool. I don't know where the transformation happened for me, but at some point I became obsessed with the mission of like converting people to Notion. I don't even know, man.
It's been so awesome because instead of like, because you could link it to your Google Drive, you could link it to anything. So it's like, instead of you kind of trying to file through your Google Drive to find something, just go to Notions, link to it. Hey, find me this. Boom, brings it up.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I like how flexible it is because you could create, like, it's not like a forced template. Now you got to force your business's workflow into a certain template. No, you could create your own template with Notion and make it, mold to your business's workflow and how you want that to work, which I think is great.
I haven't taught this to our teams yet, but just a couple weeks ago, I finished building out a new recruiter bot for us using Notion. Can I tell you a bit about this nerdy AI project
Yeah.
that I did?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
I identified, I was just in Costa Rica 2 weeks ago for 10 days and got clear. It didn't work. It was awesome. Bus test, team rocked it. Everyone did great at
Yeah.
SLE. So super pumped about that. But on the way back, 2 flights, it was like a 13-hour day. And so it's like, okay, what better opportunity than to do the 1, 3, 5, 10, and 20-year goals again, and really get clear and centered on like, I love this phrase, guys. I know there's going to be a bunch. This will come back up, I'm sure. Charlie Munger said, "Hey, show me where I'll die and I'll never go there." And I love to use that in business and just go, okay, we're going to fall down and label 3 areas, 3 big bottlenecks that'll stop us from reaching XYZ goal. What are they? And in myself as the owner, because, the bottleneck always happens at the top of the bottle.
Right.
It's recruiting. For me, it was like very clearly on the page going, like you have to do better at scaling your recruiting. Currently, SLE's recruiting model was not scalable. It just wasn't. I don't have enough resumes. I don't have enough people in the process trained to go through those. I don't have my group interview set up yet. And I want like a 4-stage process. So when I got back, I'm like, well, if this is clearly the major thing I got to focus on, then man, it'd be stupid to do anything else. So here's what we did. We used Notion, built an application form. That application form, we leveraged ChatGPT, is my personal favorite because it's got the most history with me. It knows me very well at this point. Sure, you guys have a too. So I got to leverage it and embedded disc profiling questions, IQ and EQ questions.
Nice.
Maintained somewhat short, but just long enough to be like good friction. Like if you don't fill this out, I'm not interested anyway, kind of stuff.
Right.
But then it's like, well, I don't want you typing all this stuff. So we make it multiple choice, but not like a yes, no, and maybe, like yes, but, and a big explainer. But we pre-write the sentences. So half of it's multiple choice. And then it's like text follow-up. Hey, tell us about a time where that applied to you. And so what happens is then we programmed bots in Notion. So application to Notion triggers new Notion page on the submission, which triggers a bot to analyze disc profile, score IQ, EQ, and then an overall score, as well as a suggested Loom video question that we would ask them to submit after, based on some of the key critical risks or strengths on their application. And if they score 7 to 10, it gets a green light in our feed. And if they score below, it gets red. And then when I look at this in a Kanban board, I can see by position and by scores, who to move across to what stage. And now it's easier to train the staff. They handle everything through this. All I do is the end interview if I'm satisfied with the applicant. And so the goal is, okay, now it's just recruiting. It's just ads. And we know how to do that very well. I can get a stack of resumes and applications, but now I just cut the work down in that process by like 8 hours.
Literally, like it's so amazing how you incorporate like disc profile questions and stuff like that, because it's like you get to kind of get into their psyche a little bit, because it's one thing you're hiring somebody to bring on the team to complete a task. But there's another thing if their personality is going to come across the team, because the last thing you want to do is bring someone on the team that everyone's going to hate or cause friction around, in the house. So it clears so much out the picture, for you, and make it so much easier. So like you mentioned at the end, green, cool, next step.
Yeah, pretty much, right? The question's made. We just copy paste email, and even that with amazing. Notion, I haven't set it up yet, but that's a button you can create. Right? And trigger that automation. Email this question to this person, ask them to record a quick video, send it back. Now, you get to decide the phases and the friction. For us and what we're trying to do, man, I've got 3 pillars here. World-class service, that takes a certain type of person, the kind of person that really cares. Meaning, like, if either of you Eddies reached out in the chat and I didn't get back to you as soon as possible, like, you're fucking out, man. You know what I mean? Like, this is 2026. And with AI and the lack of customer service that's happening, if you're not the kind of person that cares to get back to you and reduce your effort, you're fucking out. You don't fit here. So like, these are the things we want to measure. In fact, I'm reminded when you were chatting, Eddie, is recently I saw a headline about Elon's most recent, he's hiring for SpaceX. And I didn't see the application, but I read that it was notoriously like short. And it's like, we don't even need a resume, because that's bullshit and anyone can make a resume up now. Right. AI does it in 10 seconds, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But you got to answer these 3 thought-provoking questions. And the first one's like, why should we hire you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Answer that and stand out is maybe like the most intimidating thing. If you really put yourself in those shoes, like, okay, I'm a rocket scientist. There's another 1,000 or 10,000 that are going to apply. How do I do this the best?
Yeah. Yeah. How do I decommoditize myself from the rest of them? Yeah. It's crazy. I saw a video too where they asked him a similar question too, and he said one of the 3 that he asked as well is he says, tell me about your life. Tell me about like some of the hardest things you dealt with and how you solved it. And he just shuts up. And I think he even said he goes like a whole minute went by of just like silence, and it's a way to just kind of test like how they react. You know what I mean? I thought that was very interesting. For me, I find it fascinating too, because again, we've gone through the hiring different types, and for better or worse, they always seem to kind of fall off and think whatever happens. But with these 2 people we had, it reminds me of a conversation I had with a guy that was in my BNI a couple of years ago, and he told me stories about how all his people, they're all making over 100 grand a year. They're all great, but he found them from the most unlikely places. You know what I mean? And he's like, you got to look out for those exceptional human beings. You know what I mean? And there's a way, if you're looking and you're paying attention enough, you find them. And then these 2 people we have on our team, they are exceptional. They are amazing. And I just feel like they're gonna help us on this trajectory that like we've been wanting for a while now. It's just finally took some of the right people on the team. Super, super happy.
Can I ask you a question about that? I know we didn't really intend to go to recruiting and I took us here, but there was more on the marketing still. We'll get back to this. But you guys, have you identified like some of the qualities of that amazing person that you look for when you're looking at resumes or at people or in interviews? Like, is this something you've talked about? Is there a quality, a thing, an anchor? Is there something that gets you excited about a person that you can verbalize?
I guess for me, one thing I've noticed, especially when working with both these new hires, working on the field, I like to interact. So I'll like to give them a task, and I'll just step away and just kind of look, get this done, mount this back, whatever. Give them a task, and I just want to see how they go about it, because I want to see how clean their work is. I just want to see where their head is at, how they go day to day without forcing anything. And both of these guys inherently were just very clean, very professional, clean the space. I didn't say anything. They just knew. And after they completed said task, they just found something else to do afterwards. They didn't come and just stand there. They just went right away and just like, okay, and they just scanned the room and analyzed what was the next thing that needs to be done as far as what could be helpful on the project. Because I'm like, that's really important, because everybody's in the trenches on the field. I want to make sure anybody we have working together on site is, having a good time. Everybody's working able to meld together. And I just thought that was I see that as a very good thing. I like to do, at least as far as when I'm looking people that want to join the team and see how they go about their work. And also just the drive and just the initiative. They're just taking the initiative of like moving the needle. So I guess that's my take on it, I guess.
Yeah, and for me, it's I'm the one who has to kind of talk to them way before they even meet anybody else, And one of them, he came through just from our normal website applying, but it was cool because he had researched a whole bunch of other companies. He came from a big solar company, Chris, and when he saw like our website and he saw like our social media, he immediately said he felt like like we'd be a great company to work for. I remember we hopped on a call. We think we talked for like 2 hours. You know what I mean? And the immediate thing that I noticed right away was just like his energy and his enthusiasm and just his like he was just so ready to learn. And that's how we are. Like we're like students of life, like forever. And I got that vibe immediately. Like this kid was just like ready, just hungry. And I was like, dude, I love that. I was like, I imagine him on my team with everybody else. And he's like, that's what I want. I can envision every day this guy's showing up and working with us. And so immediately I knew, I'm like, let's get you to meet the rest of the guys. And he's just been incredible. And then with Thomas, it was one of those things where I'm out there, I'm talking to people, and I'm always putting it out there into the ether, right? I'm feeding the algorithm of nature, right? And I'm telling them I'm looking for these type of people, this type of person. And so I forget what happened, but I went to an event and I met a lady there where we started talking, and she got to know me and my company and stuff. And she's like, man, like my husband, he's looking for a career change. I would love to set you guys up and meet up. And so we did. It was another thing again. He's like, yeah, man, I looked into you guys. I was researching you guys. He's like, I want to be a part of that. I want to learn all that stuff. And then just the energy was there. And again, he was so excited to like just jump in. And that's how we are. We've always been like that. And so I can't say I've had that with other people in the past before like that, where it was almost like forced. It was like you said, we go through the resume. Bro, I didn't even care about the resume. I was like, no, I know these kids are gonna be freaking rock stars, man. I was like, and I need them on my team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's the energy, it's the attitude, it's the growth mindset that really stood out to me. I don't give a crap if you came from Dunkin' Donuts or you're digging ditches, man. If you got that boxes checked off, I'm gonna bring you on and see what you can do. You know, and yeah, they've been incredible.
I always feel a duty to pass mentorship down. That's probably a big reason why we're here, but not just to other electricians, to apprentices too. And I think you said something really important, because it can be hard, especially when you're green, to get your first employment to become an electrician, even though we all need them. I mean, this is like our Achilles heel. When you have someone that doesn't know anything skill set wise yet, it's always difficult to lock in that first thing, that first transaction with an employer. And I think you just gave a massive key away for both the companies looking to attract these kinds of people and the kinds of people that are looking to attract a potential fit like this. So like on one side of this, you're standing out. Well, how do you stand out? You got to focus on stuff, right? You got to focus on growing something. Well, okay, focus on growing what? Well, you mentioned your online presence so much that AI picks up on you. Well, that's amazing for job applicants too. Right? So this is twofold. This is a big thing. If I'm doing research in my marketplace, who do I land on that's like, that's Uncle Joe. I'll use Joe. He's not here today, he's sick, but that's my uncle. That's the place I need to be. This is the guy who's going to love me, be challenging, and get me places. When people see you in the market, like, you know, for the viewers or listeners right now, do they think that way about you? And what the difference is like, well, on your website, are they stock photos? Did a website designer write all the text on your website? You know, was it actually thoughtfulness and intention from an electrician, someone, a master in our trade, from an owner that cares? I mean, that's just one of the first steps to show up in the way that you're talking about. Are they involved in the community? Are they doing stuff? But then on the apprentice side, I love what you said there too, pointing out like this guy goes the extra mile to do that research, share that research with you, compliment you on being the winner of that research essentially, and let you know why they'd love to be with you. I mean, that's incredible. And that extra effort is the difference between random Joe and you getting picked. It's like a draft. What are you doing to stand out? So man, you get my full support on that one. Great example. Absolutely love it. It's incredible. You mentioned something else though too, Eddie, and this was, I heard work ethic. Eddie Cruz. You're talking about work ethic. We boiled down 3 things, not to monologue here, guys, but really interesting. Ethics, identity, and then skills. And I love asking electricians this. We do this in like almost a base for a tower, like a triangle, an apex triangle, we call it. For these are the best people come from this setup. Work ethic is the term that no one ever bridges into ethics. You guys ever notice that? Like, have you ever broke this term apart? If you look at the term work ethic, like, what does it mean? It's like, I have an agreement to do a task or a job for you. And in my work ethics, the agreement is I want to deliver everything you're looking for. You're my customer. You have expectations. I've got a job to deliver on them. But just like we serve customers, I'm looking to exceed those expectations so that I get the next task, the next job, so that I stand out. So to me, ethics is that first thing. And then identity. Well, if I claim that, then I can step into the identity of someone who is that, deserves that, and can be that. And to truly own that identity, you have to have a skill set, which, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Have you noticed that the guys with these trends, though, tend to work extra, take extra notes, do extra research, do extra things in the business and on their own time to have a better skill set and a better understanding of how you guys serve?
I tell you what, it's so crazy you bring that up because our newest hire, Thomas, he's that. Like, if he doesn't understand, if we're having a conversation, say, our master and Chris are talking about a topic, whatever, and Chris is very, or Thomas is very, very green. He's not understanding, but he's not stopping the conversation. He's taking notes. He's researching up. He's looking code book. He's right away taking notes of it. And then the very next day, he did all the research overnight, and he comes back the next day and brings up points. Hey guys, I based on the conversation we had yesterday, I found this, and I learned about this. So is this correct? And it's like, it's amazing. He's taking such initiative, even though even though like he's very green right now. Man, he's trying to get on the fast track to kind of get up to be on the same level as everybody else. Like he's not
Love it.
using the excuse of him being green to not learn and not try to get up to the same knowledge as far as like the rest of the guys, which I love.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I give him access to the NFPA leak website. It's got the database for NEC and all the rest of the codes. They got Callie on there now. Callie's awesome, the AI chatbot, man, and we're there working on quotes, and the rest of the guys are like bringing up code this, code that, and he's right away talking to Callie, looking up there and getting us the answers right away. And I just love that proactiveness of just like he's bringing his value to the table, and he's like, hey man, like I'm gonna be a part of this. You know what I mean? And so it's just great. Someone so fresh like that to have that kind of attitude and outlook and just go after it. It's hard to find, but you know what I mean? If you look hard enough, you'll get them. You know what I mean? You want to hold on to them, 100%.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think honestly, 80% of the time where someone's not quite realizing the value they're setting out for, either they're not taking the action or the action on the right thing. Like that's a very subtle difference. Jim Rohn always said this, and I love it. You can't spend major time on minor things, right? You got to focus on the right thing. But the other 2 out of 10 just need to keep going. Just don't quit. Just keep doing that thing to get the edge, right?
Absolutely.
Just that little bit extra. One more.
Yep.
And if you keep on that, those ones add up and you get the big break you're looking for. That's been my experience. Earlier, before the call, I'm going to shift back here. We were talking a bit about, what's the language now? Geez Louise. That's the first time I've ever said geez Louise on this show, by the way. The incentives have been rescinded with the presidential stuff, whatever, will avoid politics. But essentially, they kind of chop some legs off of EV and solar, right? Is that impacting you guys, and kind of how are you navigating that?
Me and Eddie talked about this a lot, even like, because we knew it was going away at the beginning of 2026. So it was definitely a big topic at hand about 6 months ago, as far as how we need to transition or how we kind of navigate that when the time comes. And the biggest thing is we knew it was going to go down a little bit, but we knew it wasn't going to go away because people are going to want what they want no matter what. So people are still going to want battery backup. People are still going to want solar, regardless if there's a federal tax credit or not. If anything, we just knew that the scale of it's going to go down as far as what they actually want. Because again, since people want to take advantage of the tax credit, give me the biggest. I want all the batteries. I want all the solar field, want everything. Instead of that, it just goes to, I just kind of need my critical circuits backed up for at least 8 hours, and or a combination of like, can we try to get my electricity bill down to like 50% or net zero or whatever the case may be, whatever's most important to that particular homeowner, and we kind of catered the system to that. But the craziest thing is just, again, even going into 2026, it still hasn't slowed down. We're still getting just getting constant leads of people wanting solar and battery backup, and it hasn't slowed down at all. And it's been nuts.
Yeah, it's what I've noticed. We went to there was an RE Plus event here in Boston, all solar, battery, and everything, and noticed from it was that like even though that bill went away, what I'm noticing is that the industry is very like resilient. You know what I mean? And I'm seeing like local towns and even companies, they're coming up with their own versions of stuff to still offset the cost. Like Green Tech Renewables, I was just talking to them, and they got a system where they're trying to replicate that 30%, but they're teaming up with other financial institutions, and they're trying to make a nice sweet deal for customers to still be able to pull the trigger, still make it happen, still get that 30%. So I love the creativity that's coming out of the industry and some of these other companies and these towns where they're teaming up with battery manufacturers now and solar companies, and they're doing their own thing. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like I'm starting to see localized incentives popping up, and I'm like, let's get on that. So that's why we're always trying to learn like what is happening, like, and again, AI helps because you can have it go and scrape the internet and bring you summaries and all the links and stuff for all this just to stay up to speed. You know what I mean? And so I love where that's going. It's almost like, all right, you're gonna hit us with this. We're not gonna go down without a fight. We're gonna adapt, right? We're gonna switch it up. We're gonna help. And plus, I think we don't have a choice, man. I'm calling it right now. I think this is temporary. Something's gonna have to come back because, like, so what I said earlier, the grid's not gonna allow us to just lay down and just accept it. Like, we're gonna need an answer, and I think the government's gonna have to somehow jump back in and re-offer these incentives because they're gonna have to. You know what I mean? More and more EVs going in, electric stoves. It's just one of those things that's gonna force their hand.
Yeah, it sounds like most things. I think, and again, I said I'd stay out of politics, but a lot of people of influence or power, I think they have underestimated, for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
the power of the crowd in today's
Yep.
age. You
Yep.
don't always, just because you make a decision doesn't mean it's decided, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
When a billion people say it needs to be this way because that's what
Yep.
the demand is, the
Yep.
demand tends to find a way, and the supply will find
Absolutely.
a way too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Do you guys find you're in competition with a lot of the door-to-door solar guys that are trying to put packages together for basically no investment by some fancy deal? Or what does that look like in your competitive landscape?
No, not really. I don't see it. Like,
No.
they could go ahead and go about their business. Like, I don't really think about them as much because
Yeah.
I'm so confident in our process and what we're able to give to customers with so much flexibility because we're not just selling them or pushing one system. We offer so many different batteries systems and so many different solutions that could definitely cater to what they want and need. Um, so we kind of go at it as a full custom setup. When a customer reaches out and they're looking for battery and solar, whatever combination of either, um, we kind of cater it. We kind of sit down, take a deep dive of their electricity bill, find out what their, hey, we want, X amount of days. Cool. Based off electricity bill, based off of these numbers and everything like that, you're going to need X amount of kilowatt per hour, whatever batteries. Now we kind of find out which battery system best makes up that number and per cost, and then we're going to replace it. And I think that's a way more kind of white glove service because now you're really feel like getting a custom service, a custom install that's catered to the customer, and it works exactly how they want it, and they get to spend exactly what they want at the end of the day as well.
Yeah. Yeah. We try to handle it more of like a firm consulting, very hands-on. There's a lot of research that's involved. It can be very confusing. So we try our best to translate very technical, complicated things into more definitions that the customer can follow along and understand. And a lot of times they get these Sparkies will come in and just try to hit you with the one size fits all thing. Again, just we don't operate like that. If anything, we come in after the fact, unfortunately, where they try to put in a smart panel. They could do the physical side, but when it came to the commissioning and software, they were like, sorry. And the customer's like, what do you mean? Like, so then they got to have us come in and we do the rest of it. But I think the other part of it too is, we're really good at like bringing in all the things that complement each other. We're like, at the end of the day, we're still, electricians. We could do all the regular stuff. So, but also if we're in there doing solar battery and you need something else done, we can. It's not like a solar company where now they got to go hire or find an electrician to do it or permitting. We can kind of do all of it under one place. You know what I mean? So again, it's the value that we bring, and I think the other part too is like, I try to make a really big effort on making relationships with the manufacturers themselves too, because Eddie's real big on finding like these little things that like they could do better on. So we're always trying to tell Span or Powerwall or any of them like, hey, here's some feedback from the field. And all of a sudden, we don't get any credit
And
for
they
it. We
actually
see
did.
Span make changes and stuff. You know what I mean? And so that puts us
Yep.
in an authority figure position as well. You know what I mean? On both sides, to the customer and the manufacturer.
Yeah, I love that. As you're saying that, you say the regular electrical stuff. You mean like, hey, fixing any circuits or updating any devices or any panel changes or other complementary services directly related to what you're doing.
Yeah, you don't have to go find anybody
Do
else. We
you?
can take care of you.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. And that's part of your process then to kind of look at everything as a whole, I would imagine.
Of course, yeah, because it's part of like when we do after you kind of have the kind of phone call consultation as far as what they're looking for and everything like that, and it moves into like the site visit stage. that's when Eddie goes over there and kind of, okay, we know we just want battery and solar, but we can't just like throw it on there. We got to see what your existing infrastructure looks like, because hey, before we do that, there's 100 code violations at the panel. We need
Yeah,
to
I mean
take care of this.
that's what happened this morning. Went
before
out there for
anywhere.
one thing, and then we're looking at it all, and it's like, hey, I always tell customers, I'm gonna always tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. It's just I'm just gonna tell you flat out like that. And so we're there, and it's like, yo, you got this whole pool house on a 20 amp circuit. You're telling me things are tripping. You want to add a hot tub. You want to do all this stuff. It's like, maybe let's run a sub panel out here. You know what I mean? Let's take some of this load off that freaking 20 amp circuit. So he's like, oh yes, I like your thing. And then I'm telling him other things that he could think about. And he goes, I like the way you're going, man. You're future proofing. I like, okay, yeah, let's go that way. So it turned from that to like, okay, now we're doing a sub panel. We're gonna add all this other stuff now. And it wasn't a way that where I was trying to like upsell. I'm just pointing out the logic or the illogical things that I'm seeing, or the code violations. Just being authentic. And they're like, oh my God, thank you. Like thank you so much. You know what I mean? So they're like appreciative that you're just being honest with them, and you're not trying to be like pressure in anything. You know what I mean? Just deliver them the information, tell them how it works, and giving them that confidence that like, we can take care of you, man. You know what I mean? Like no worries when you work with us. We'll handle everything. Like Eddie said, the white glove service.
Yeah. Do you feel that your positioning in the market as kind of a more expert level, a niche level electrician gives additional authority to you to be able to say something like that and command respect? Like, do you think that works for every electrician, to say, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear? Or is it actually also working because you have additional authority, do you think?
I don't think it comes. I don't think like every single electrician out there should just go ahead and start going with that. I think we're able to do that because we've been focused on this for so long. And then like everywhere around New England, you search up, solar battery back or electrical contractor. I saw solar and battery. We come up the first. There's a reason for that. The fact that we come, took many years to get to that point is the confidence and the ability to back up our shit in a sense.
Yeah. I was because I had a mentor tell me, market the problem you want to solve, and the sale is yours to mess up. And that's what I'm hearing through you there, Eddie. Go ahead,
basically.
Edward.
No, I was just gonna say too. I think it just comes down to like how you deliver it, right? You know what I mean? Like it's one thing to make that statement, right? I'm here to tell you what you want to hear, not what not what we need to hear, but also it's how you go about it. You know what I mean? So I think like you find the opportunities to drop nuggets to let them know. And again, the way you deliver it is important. You know what I mean? And then again, I'm glad you brought up the disc, because me and Eddie were big on the disc assessment. So right away, you're gonna know what kind of personality you're talking to a few minutes into the conversation. So if you can kind of be in a way like a chameleon, where you can adjust your tone, your choice of words, and how you go about delivering that information. So I think that's super important too. Where if you're just coming in here, big balls, freaking ego, I mean, it's gonna land wrong, man. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be a good outcome for you. You know what I mean?
Coming through.
Yeah, you gotta. There's an art. There's an art to delivering uncomfortable news or details, right? It's an art skill. It's a thing that, like, if you got physical tools in your tool belt, think of this as other like tools, right? A mental tool belt, like your skills you're putting on to become a better electrician, a better communicator. You know what I mean? So I think that I just wanted to make that point, that's important too, where you could have the authority, but if you're a terrible communicator, you're bringing the wrong energy. You know what I mean? You don't have it to back it up. Like, yeah, it's gonna land wrong.
In our last call we had on the podcast, we had a little debate going about the pricing in your marketing, and I believe you guys were 4, and you have prices, base prices at least on your services. Is that true to this day?
On the website?
Yeah.
We still have stuff on there, which again, it's one of those things where I'm gonna have to restructure all of it now because of AI and who's looking there. And I'm probably still going to have something on there, because you're going to have those people where they got their budget no matter what, you know what I mean? And for better or worse, you may get them or not get them, but at least, you know what I mean? It gives them something to go off of, you know what I mean? Especially if they're not going to their son, they're asking AI, how much would it generally cost? I don't want them going to freaking, what are those one site, Eddie, that we hate, where it's always saying it's $800 to service upgrade. It's like, where are they getting this information from? Yeah, so like it's like do we leave the Angie's List and those other ones to teach people? Because again, there's no customer school, so there's nowhere you can go to be a customer, right? So we have to teach people the right way to go about these things. And I'm not going to leave it up to Angie's List to train them that it's $800 for a service upgrade. I'm going to at least drop a blog, right, that explains all the inner details, and then give them something at the end to like what you could possibly expect for a rough. Those are going to capture the people at 2-3 in the morning that like to go freaking window shopping and research stuff, which is a lot of our customer base. Like a lot of our customers, it'll take a while for them to actually pull the trigger, and there's a lot of research that goes involved. So I'd rather be them showing up on my website, not even knowing yet that it's an electrical contractor, because they're learning about all this stuff, not to do it themselves, but just to take the mysticism out of like all this complicated shit that we do. And again, at the very end, you're going to probably be asking yourself, well, how much would something like this cost? And it's like, if it's giving you something rough and it's very clear that it's rough and that you should still reach out to us, then boom, you hit the contact button and we're in. But again, I'm trying to leverage AI to educate as many people as possible and meet them everywhere where they are. In the afternoon, all the way to 2 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I brought it up because more and more I'm seeing with other marketer and marketing agencies, they're talking about how important it is to list pricing so that AI finds you. And that's a relatively, kind of a newer concept, really. Trying to nail that down. But I appreciate what you're saying. I'm going to be so interested to see the stats. I'd love to know if you guys ever do a deep dive on how many times that's coming up for you in the AI searches. I wonder if you can see that, for one, and two, what it would show. That would be really interesting.
Yeah. I think I've been looking at a lot of different, like not just SEO, but like website, like optimization, like bots where they could take your website, do a whole scan on it, right, and show you the areas where you can pick up. But I'm reading some of them can actually track as soon as they're clicking on it and what they're clicking on and how long they're on the website. You know what I mean? But then they're also seeing a change in less humans actually going to these sites, and it's more bots now than anything. And they're just going to zip right through it, extract what they need, and then get back to the customer. For the first time ever, the Google traffic took a dip in like 20 years or something crazy. And that was literally due to chat. And it's only going to be exponential where more and more people are going to be using Gemini or these other ones. So again, you want your content to kind of line up with that,
Yeah, we're in like the age of the middleman. That's kind of the way I look at it. Like Google was a middleman. Google didn't really provide a new end user solution. It provided the means to the end user to find their solution. Right. And in a lot of cases, that's what AI is doing, in my humble opinion, is what we see, right? It's just now, okay, GPT, Gemini, Claude, they're all fighting for Google's traffic and they're taking some of that share back. So yeah, it's wise to optimize for these things. It makes perfect sense. Even on the marketing side, like we actually have a marketing company we joined with now. He's been on the podcast a couple of times. Forrest runs his own electrical companies, driving over 400 leads a month. And so we partnered up with Forrest and another guy who reached out, Zach, who hasn't been on the podcast yet. He will be, guys. He literally used AI to vibe code his own software because he's the Einstein of new technology. Love this guy. You guys would have a great chat with him too. And building that software out for us right now. So we've actively got like 30 marketing clients that are in there. But the cool thing it does is what you're talking about. Like it analyzes your website and provides recommendations. It analyzes your Google business profile and tells you exactly what needs to be done. And the things it can do, it will do at the click of a button. And the other things it can't is like all the guesswork's removed. We don't have to hire someone for, 80 hours a freaking month to charge SEO for, 6,000 or 8,000 or whatever guys did. That old dog is no longer hunting, right? Like that ship has sailed. So all of this is just like, it's better insights, they're faster insights, and they're accurate based on the scraped data of like, well, what worked for everyone else in your area. It's absolutely a remarkable time. So I can't blame you guys for diving into that and finding those little nuanced areas and optimizing it.
I think just the last thing I was going to say is that, the thing that I've been pretty passionate about, and Eddie as well too, is like the stuff that we're learning. We have this philosophy that there's no competitors. We're all co-competitors, right? And so like we have relationships with a whole bunch of other electrical contractors, electricians that we work with. We team up on stuff, and I'll sit down with them and I'll tell them, hey, here's what's working for me. Here's what's not working for me. Try this, try that. And I'm sharing. I feel like it's my obligation to share like the knowledge that I've have to help my other electricians, my other buddies out here, because then we all rise, right? We all rise together, and so I've been vibe coding a lot lately too, and I'm working on a couple different like I'm working on an AI estimating software that I want to use for us first. But then I'm gonna give it to my other friends and have them to try to break it. You know what I mean? And then once they try to break it, then we might take it to to actual product. But right now we're in the age of like ideas, man. If you got an idea or you got a problem that you're very passionate about solving, now's the time, man. Now's the time to go after it, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I love that. How did you say that? Competitor, co-competitor?
Yeah, there's no competitors. We're co-competitors. Yeah, bro. You know what I mean? Like we can help each other.
We want the whole industry to go up. We want the
Yeah.
whole industry of electricians to go up, man, because it's the standard, as most homeowners think about, electricians. Even to this day, they think of the 80s. It's some like random dude showing up, with a belly, pot belly, whatever. That's what they think of. So we want to eliminate that thought, So like Eddie mentioned, like we work with a bunch of like local other smaller electrical contractors, and we kind of work alongside them. We team up on projects where they want to kind of stay with like the kind of smaller side. And like, so if a customer reaches out and they're kind of like, hey, I just need like 2 electrical outlets swapped, we just off to him.
Yeah, we call our buddy up.
And we call our buddy up. If he gets if a homeowner reaches out to him and they're looking for a large project that's like way too big for him, he brings it on us. Or he brings us on to team up with him to get it done. We kind of share the wealth.
Plenty of work to go around. Plenty of work to go around.
Yeah. I was fortunate to work with a guy, Master Dan Zaleski. It's like 8th degree Taekwondo black belt. And he was a business coach. And he said it this way: there is no competition, there's only creation. Tony Robbins' voice style too. Clay, you got to know there's no competition, there's only creation. Anyway, the point being is like, I believe anytime 2 minds come together, the 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. It's more, it equals 3. There's something else born. And I've seen this in the one-to-one coaching that we do in the calls. And guys have asked me that, do you know where we're going when we start? And no. I've got what's relevant to me. You've got what's relevant to you. We've got a general direction we're working in for sure. We know what your goals are. We know where we got to go. But what's important for both of us is going to surface, and you can't really predict the outcome. And that's one of my favorite things about working with people one-to-one. It's incredible, man. And so sometimes you finish a call like that. I'm sure you guys see this out working with customers just the same, right? It's like sometimes you finish a job and you're like, whoa, that's pretty cool. I didn't even know we could do that.
Dude, the project that comes to mind is the one we just finished by the end of 2025, which was a huge battery backup. It was 20 batteries. We installed 286 kilowatt hours of storage, 4 inverters,
residential,
2 gateway.
Crazy.
Residential. It's not even commercial, residential.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and the whole thing about it is like, man, Inspector was fighting us because it was such a large system as far as pulling permits. They wouldn't even allow us to dig until we got the electrical permit, which is a separate permit for DigSafe, that's a whole other thing. But like, by the time we were done and we powered up the system, it's like we kind of take a step back. It's like, bro, this 40-foot wall of this guy's detached garage it's all battery, and it's just like insane. Then you look over to another wall, it's like that's a 15-foot trough, and above it is 4 inverters and these 2 giant freaking grid bosses. It's like, this is wild. It's wire everywhere.
You start there, like when was it you, Eddie? Were you on this job estimating it?
Yeah.
Was that was just like, this is the demand I need, or was it starting smaller and built up to this level?
No, so this dude's an amazing dude. We're gonna do a bunch of more work with him as well, but he was like, he's kind of a little bit like a prepper. He has 400 amp service in his home, and he goes, I want to be able to go off grid whenever I want, and I want to be able to use my hot tub. That was the energy he goes, here's my electricity bill. I was like, I want enough power to power my whole. He goes, because it basically was like a compound. His home was basically like a compound, and it's like multiple families living on it. And essentially, one of his biggest thing is like, when there is an outage, he doesn't want to have like a freaking community meeting of everybody turn this off. He wants everybody to still kind of do what they want in an outage. And designing that system took about a year because of trying to find a battery company that wasn't going to create his home into a science project. Because yes, there's systems that were going to accomplish what he wanted, but like, man, I don't want to make your house into look like a science project. That's crazy. I don't want to do that or balloon it like where it's like so much money and also availability to get to get the stuff. But yeah, it took like a year of like back and forth between engineers. There you go, Freddie.
And one thing I'll add too, Eddie, is that like it's almost like a multi-layer like niching in a way. Because again, we'll take on all the other regular stuff, but we really push this. But at the same time, there's more contractors coming in to doing battery and solar. But what happened was a bunch of them just said no, or they end up turning out to just be like working for a bank or something. So when everybody else was either a charlatan or said no, we said maybe. And we're like, all right, yeah, let's because you don't want to say yes right away because you don't know 100% if you can. But the best thing you can say is maybe. So then we started looking into it, and like Eddie said, we went through so many different manufacturers. But the customer was like very appreciative, like, oh my god, thank you for staying with us on this. You know what I mean? And then it pays out big time because we're doing this one, then we're moving on to a big ass solar field in his yard, and then we're moving on to his 25,000 square foot warehouse that he's building where we're doing all the electrical, all the solar, and all the battery. You know what I mean? And then again, because I can't help but just talk business, this is one of the guys who's turning into a potential business partner. You know what I mean? So it's like when you just like really put the customer's like needs in front and you dial it in, right? And you at least say maybe, you leave the door open, you know what I mean? Then that's when amazing opportunities can come about. And that's what's happening with this guy, man. It's so incredible.
Did you collect any payment to do research on this person's behalf, or this was like, we're just going to serve and that's the way the world works, provide and be provided?
No.
Crazy. How many hours do you think you were in before sale?
The thing is, since he was the very first one that requested something this big, it's not the norm. People, the normal is, hey, I kind of just want my critical load back up for like 8 hours. Okay, cool. One power wall, one EG4 battery, whatever the case may be. That's the norm, Versus this guy is like, no, I want. Yeah, but this guy was such a giant project that I find it more interesting. And I find it challenging. Me, I love a challenge. And I was like, this guy is challenging my ability to design a system to do this. I want to be able to freaking make it happen because at the end of the day, I also saw it as like a future marketing thing. It's like we could play this giant project. So that means, and you market that, potential customers are going to see that, be like, oh, if these guys could handle this and make this size of a system happen, they're going to knock my system out the park, and they're going to give me exactly what I want. So I saw it as like just kind of those things. It's going to pay for itself. Yep, 100%.
Yeah, and then the thing about it was what was cool is because we learned so much from this. So now, if we get something like this again, it ain't going to take a year. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be very quick on putting something together because now we got the engineers. Like that was hard to find that the engineers. Hard to find a system that can handle something like that. So we saw it as like the flagship opportunity to learn a lot. You know what I mean? The payout could be crazy, but then also all the stuff we learned. Now something like this again is going to go a lot faster, right? Because we're establishing SOPs. We got all these pieces in place now to streamline the process a lot faster. That was the big difference with smaller systems. Very fast, easy. We get the code out to you really quick. With this one, we needed to really learn and take notes so that way when the next ones come around, we're ready to just fire it off on all cylinders, man.
Super cool. Yeah, it's super cool. What I hear as you guys are talking about it, and I didn't mean to pick or call it down at all. I'm just very curious how much you invest for your people up front, because that's a cultural thing. Like it's very clear to me that you guys, like you said, Eddie, is like you're challenged by this. And when everyone else saying no, you want to say maybe because of what that would mean for you as people, your reputation, you as a company. I'm hearing a number of things in there, but it all around just sounds consistent with your culture, which is we want to serve people in doing really cool jobs, and we're willing to take some risk when we can to do so. That's the biggest residential setup that you've done?
I think they say it's the largest one installed in the state of New Hampshire.
Yeah. And it's crazy because it seems like Eddie always calls us out. Like, bro, we always attract like these crazy, big, complicated, like insane projects,
I call it a blessing and a curse. Yeah, I call it a blessing and a curse. Like we attract the most difficult stuff and the most we attract the projects that every other electrician local says no to, and we just like, okay, we'll take care of it. we'll take care of the challenge. It's
Let's
not a
do
big
it.
deal because at the end of the day,
It's gonna
it's not it
cost you.
can't be done.
Yeah.
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 It's just
Yep.
because the way we view it is like there's not a project that can't be done. There's
Exactly.
no it cannot be done. It's
Yep.
just
Yep.
how we're gonna overcome it and get it done.
I can relate. You guys know a bit about my background, but it was a lot of control and automation for a dozen years when I started in the trade, and that company was similar, family owned, multi shop. We grew to hundreds of staff, but we were the ones that was like, oh, there's a pig farm, and the utility quoted them 250,000 to drag 3-phase out there. So we're gonna set up rotophase equipment, and then try to run 3-phase because it's cheaper. But from
Yep.
single phase, it was just wild. It was wild. But
Keeps
anyway,
things
so I
exciting.
can relate, guys. It's super cool. Makes me want to come down and visit you in person. Being that you attract these big ones and you like those challenges, still with that there, what's your ideal customer? Like the phone rings or you see a booking request come through and you're like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Can't wait to call this person and get them scheduled.
I guess because if someone comes in through the say for example for the website, we got some questions on there. They kind of give us a brief overview of what they're looking for. Well, solar and battery, awesome, fantastic. I get more excited about the conversation piece, and that's because I don't see that part of excitement versus when an email comes in. I start getting excited once I have the conversation with the customer because I'm the one that's calling them and having that conversation with them, and I just like hop on the phone with them like, man, how are you hoping we can help you? And then from there, I just kind of, I sometimes I just mute myself, and sometimes they just go rant for like 30 minutes, and I'm just sitting there just taking it all in, man, and then unmuting it. And I'm like, wow, it sounds like you've been thinking about this for so long. And they're like, yeah, I've been thinking about it for like a year. It's like, oh, okay, it's amazing. Well, how are you gonna, what's this gonna do for you once this thing is installed? Oh, it's gonna be amazing. I'm about to do this, I'm gonna do that. That gets me excited about the project and see where their excitement is about this project. And even if it's like they're calling or wanting work done from a pain point, that's okay, man. I get to like put ourselves in a position to be like Eddie's name, Dr. Electrician. Fantastic. Tell me all your symptoms. From there, I could best recommend how we're gonna fix this for you. And that's what I find the joy of it. Yeah.
What did the doctor say there?
No, I said we're prescribing electrical solutions. If your lights are flickering, man, your house is coughing to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Again, it comes back down to the branding, right? Like you gotta focus on that, man. If you're anybody starting a business, you got one now, find your area that you can really leverage like what's special about you and your company, right? Like lean into that. Like I talked to a guy where he works for Aflac, but he's a carpenter. You know what I mean? And I was like, bro, work your branding around like carpentry and craftsmanship into Aflac. And if you're not sure, use ChatGPT to help you brainstorm. You know what I mean? Bring what's authentic to you out. What you do. You know what I mean? People are gonna appreciate that. They're gonna level with that. They're gonna align with that. And so that's what we try to come from. We're just trying to help. And again, the doctor electrician thing, it's funny, but that's how we genuinely handle talking to people. You got problems, you got goals. Like how uncomfortable it would be if you went to the doctor, right? And you didn't even get a chance to tell him anything that's going on, what you're trying to do, your problems, and he's already trying to, prescribe you some pills or something. It's like, wow, you didn't even try to like find out anything about from me. And so it's like you wouldn't want your doctor to do that. So you wouldn't want your electrician to do that either. You know what I mean? You want someone who's going to hear you out, listen, and then tailor the solutions.
Where do most of your leads come from right now? Is there one channel that dominates the rest for you?
Our network mostly.
Yeah, I'm out there so we did a lot of transitioning in our business. And one of the things I've been focusing on now is I'm just out there, just building the relationships, planting the seeds. And sometimes you don't see it like right away. Sometimes it's a couple days, sometimes it's weeks or months. But when it comes, man, it comes in like a flood, And so because I'm out there all the time, I'm setting up this flywheel. And then all of a sudden, every day, every freaking few hours, something's coming in and it's just coming in. And what's nice though is like when we're hopping on these calls with people, it's like, oh yeah, so-and-so already told me about you guys. I went on the website and you know what I mean? So the quality of the leads are a lot better, I would say, you know what I mean? Because now, the branding's working, the word of mouth is working, you know what I mean? And I just love doing business that way. It's like, oh yeah, you talked to Kat, like, okay, cool. It's, you know what I mean? And now the conversation's just way different. It's not always like that, but I put a lot of effort into building up our network where we got funnels from many, many different directions, commercial, residential, You know what I mean? Even government I've been working on. And so mostly from that. And then the next one I'm going to work on next is the social media. You know what I mean? That'll be the next one to really beef up, trying to extract, people's interests and, those leads back to us.
I think I read you guys have a couple of pretty big clients too. Are you working for some big corps as well?
Green Mountain Power is one of them. You worked for you stayed in New Hampshire before?
FAA.
FAA. What's the Coast Guard? Potential Coast Guard?
U.S. Coast Guard.
We're gonna be doing work for that the U.S. Coast Guard. We're potentially doing work for them.
A lot of government
stuff.
Find
a lot of those come from your networking.
Not so much. That's the one where I've been trying. The only real one we have right now is our CEO, Ben. He came from the FAA. You know what I mean? And so that's been nice because all of a sudden they need all this work, and they're like, "Hey, call Ben," and then he brings us to him. And so now we're doing like this changing of the guard. Now we're like, I'm shaking the hands, I'm getting the phone numbers, making the relationships, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, I don't know if Eddie, if our guys told you this, but the last FAA job that we finished, they talked to our point of contact, and he goes, "Man, I got so many projects lined up for you guys. It's not even funny." You know what I mean? And so, if you don't open the door for me, I'm gonna go take that opportunity, man. I got numbers for everybody in that room. You know what I mean? I'm like scheduling. We're gonna get coffee. We're gonna get lunch, man. And again, I come from a point where like I'm not asking for anything. I'm trying to find out how can I help you, and not even just electrical. And then at that point, they're like, "Oh my god, like this, like why?" Like me and Eddie, we get asked this question all the time. Like, man, like why are you doing all this stuff for us? You know what I mean? And it's like all of a sudden, it's like now they feel like they can trust you wholeheartedly. Like they know now, like okay, I can really trust my home or my business or my facility with these guys. I feel like we're friends. You know what I mean? Like I could go to the gym with this dude. You know what I mean? And so. That's been really huge. The government one's been awesome.
Yeah, that's super cool. When you guys first started, did you see it becoming what it is today?
I guess in the beginning, just like anything else, you can only think so far ahead at the time, because in the beginning, especially when me and Eddie were still working our regular jobs, I was traveling a lot. I was in the industrial machinery industry, so I was traveling a lot. So whenever I was like, had to go work in Massachusetts or whatever, anywhere in New England, I would go up and stay in New Hampshire for the weekend. And then me and Eddie and Ramon, we would just go to like, just these really, really shitty, like crappy apartments at 8:00 at night to freaking replace a couple receptacles. And it's like, when you're at that point, I'm like, I got this drunk uncle behind me offering me a beer. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to get out of here. So
humble beginnings, man.
Yeah, humble beginnings, so like we knew we were going to like be something. We just didn't know how we were going to do it just yet. But like, probably in the last couple of years, especially when we, I would say probably 4 or 5 years ago, when we really started wanting to be pivoting to like smart home stuff, and like just because again, that's what we like. We like that technology. So it's like, it's easy to sell something if you're passionate about it too, or easy to kind of market something if you're passionate about it too. So we're passionate about like the battery, the solar, the smart stuff, automation, all that stuff. So it's like, okay, let's just kind of pigeonhole to that and really focus on that. Still not taking away from the traditional electrical stuff as service upgrades, everything or anything like that, but kind of really focusing on the marketing in the last like 4 to 5 years on that. I think it's really got to this point right now where like we're finally, again, like I mentioned before, anybody that is in New England that looks up contractor for solar and battery, we come up the first. I think it's finally, working for us.
Yeah, I think like Eddie said in the beginning, we were taking on anything and everything. And I think really when it comes down to it, we found our identity the last probably 5 or 6 years, and we really honed in and focused in on it and tried to mold it in this amazing structure, right? That can have longevity, and we saw where we could bring again the most value, and that was in those areas. It's like, okay, what are the things we like doing the most, and then where are we making the most money? You know what I mean? Like, how can we turn these things into like turnkey, just in and out type stuff? And what excites us like every day? These big ass freaking complicated projects that come. It keeps things interesting. You know what I mean? And so I didn't think it was going to grow. And if I had no freaking idea, we'd be going down this route, automating power, and you know what I mean? And then AI, like what, like, bro, I didn't even know about AI. Like when we first started, it wasn't even a thing. You know what I mean? It's just crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're really coming into our own. Like we're about to be 10 years this year in September. And I just am so confident. I've never been more confident than ever on our purpose and what we're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? And we got other businesses too. Like we're at this point now where we're trying to take off all the hats So that way we can move on to Ion Labs, man. I'm going to drop that on the podcast. We got another company called Ion Labs that's going to be doing crazier, bigger stuff. You know what I mean? And so we're just getting started.
Help us with one idea here. What are you going to do at Ion Labs?
No, I was just going to say, one of the big ones, man, is I'm going after the housing crisis. We're going after the housing crisis. We're talking to Vermont. We want to build neighborhoods. We want to have, all the houses to have the ability to be completely off grid. We want to bring back what I'm calling the American Dream 2.0, where you can actually afford a house again at a reasonable price. And I'm not going to spill all the secret sauce, but we're working on how to make your house make money for you. You know what I mean? Proactively. And so there's a lot of really cool shit that's going to take a lot of R&D, a lot of time traveling and, to Vermont and, talking to modular home manufacturers. And so we're really leaning in on that. There's a lot of software stuff that we want to get involved in now because, as electricians all day long, we're finding problems left and right. So we're like, all right, let's make a tally of that and let's move it over to this other company. Let's solve some problems for like other people in our industry. And so I've been calling it like our sandbox for business because we got all these ideas. Let's have a laboratory where we can just kind of go after things that are in our industry, or again, where we can keep bringing value, solve problems. And I don't know, I think it's our ADHD or something, but we got a bunch of really big plans.
Yeah,
probably.
Whatever it is, I bet you Notion's involved.
Oh, yes. You said like 1, 3, all the way up to 20 years. Literally, you can ask Eddie, don't I have one that's called the Ion Blueprint 20-year manifesto? Because that literally and chunking out every year up to the 20-year mark on what we want to do, down to detailed business plans, KPIs. It's all in there. It's great. Hundreds of pages. I love it. I love Notion because I can just go in there and be like, hey, I was talking about a thing the other day. It's going to go find it for me. You know what I mean? And then we can just keep on building. You know what I mean? It's amazing for that.
100%. Yeah, it's like Lego for your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's manifest behind the screen. Any screen. I should be sponsored by Notion at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to run out of time. But since you mentioned a blueprint, I got to ask, really selfish of me, big coaching question, but like, if we were to high five and do our 8th episode in 5 years, what's true for Ion Labs, Ion Electrical? What's true for the Eddy brothers? Big question.
In 8 years?
That would be our 8th episode if we did one every year. That's
okay, 8th episode.
5 years from now, we're going to jump up in the air and high five because you guys are so stoked about what's happened and where you're at. Give me some truth in that moment.
Man, for sure, being a kind of a household name working with utility companies as far as installing incentives and really expanding across the United States, and then installing, creating more areas as far as the ones installing these battery backup systems for these programs. I
think we're going to be known for tiling the United States. When I mean that, I mean we're putting batteries and solar like everywhere. You know what I mean? We're going to be known for being at least part of the solution, right? That like we helped, offset not just the grid, but everybody's electric bills. Like Eddie said, we're a household name. We're known for that. We're working with larger utility companies, and we're not stopping New England. We want to keep going across the country. You know what I mean? Like as long as this keeps taking us, you know what I mean? So we're really working on scaling. So I think at that point, we're scaled to like multiple states at that point, and we're going into Midwest and the rest of the way. And maybe Canada, bro. I'm still so excited to go to Canada, dog. Like, I want to go see you so bad up there.
We're gonna do some live stuff. I'll make sure to send you guys an invite.
Absolutely, dude.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, 100%.
Hell yeah.
I was seeing a vision as you were talking, and I think it might be the first Ion Labs release, a full battery powered hot tub package.
Oh, dude.
You can order it online with or without installation.
Oh, I love that. God, we hate doing hot tubs, man. Like, jeez. Hell yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. You guys, I always have a ton of fun on these calls with you. I want to thank you so much for joining. If guys wanted to reach out or follow you and learn more about Ion Labs, Ion Electrical, and your guys' story and journey, what's the best place to do that?
Or Facebook, which is just Ion Electrical LLC. I believe the same is for Instagram, Eddie?
Yeah, Instagram.com/Ion Electrical. Those 3 L's, man. Don't let it freaking get past you. Our website, ionelectricalllc.com. you'll be able to find that. I'm really trying to step up kind of the blogging on there, and you know what I mean. I'm just really excited to start rolling out the marketing playbook. So yeah, if anybody can go follow us on there, that'd be great.
Amazing.
100%.
Well, final moments. Any last messages for our viewers or listeners, guys?
Stay curious, tinker with freaking AI, man. I'm telling you, even if you're like, I hate it, I don't understand it, man, give it a few hours a week. Just play around with it, and you'll start to see the magic and where it can help you. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, man. It's not going to be AI that takes over, other people, right? It's going to be people using AI that's going to be taking over. So just be curious and tinker, man. That's all I gotta say.
And I guess for me, a little bit complete opposite as far as AI, but for all the other electrical contractor owners out there, don't forget to you're working hard, try and make a business grow, but don't forget to take care of yourself, stay healthy, make sure you get your work in there for mentally. Get to the gym, drink water. At the end of the day, even if your business becomes successful, it's not worth it if you don't live long enough. Stay on this world long enough, or you go through a sickness or anything like that. So make sure to still take care of yourself at the end of the day.
Love that. You heard it here first, guys. That's culture coming through right there at Iron Electrical. Thanks so much to the Eddy brothers, Eddie Cruz and Dr. Electrician Edward. Love the handle, brother. Thanks so much, you guys. We'll see you again next week. We've got more great interviews coming. Always a pleasure on the $1 Million Electrician. Cheers to your success.
Thank you, brother.
Later.
Thanks for having us.